The shift was immediately visible in the weak light above it. Her smile disappeared, leaving behind a ghostly, pallid face. Her breathing became shallow, and she staggered back a step for a moment, making me fear that the image in that glossy 57 could physically harm her. I had printed it this morning, and it showed her in that distinctive red dress that I had bought her for our anniversary 2 years prior. She was laughing, with her head tilted back, while another man held her close, his hand resting on the small of her back. The background was a boutique hotel downtown that Lisa had claimed was hosting a ladies-only spa retreat. I had hired a private investigator 3 weeks prior, and it was surreal to see it so obviously the betrayal, the lies, the double life she had been leading, the snapshots, the receipts, and the texts that the investigator had captured. The reality challenged me to face it every night on my laptop screen, and now it was staring back at Lisa. "What is this?" she eventually sputtered, her voice scarcely audible. Her eyes darted from the picture to me, silently begging for an explanation that wouldn't come. "Tell me," I said, leaning back in my chair. Her lip quivered, but she remained silent, looking like a deer cornered in the headlights of an approaching semi. Her mind was racing, likely trying to piece together a story or a way out, but there was no way out no matter how long I asked, my tone piercing the silence like a blade. "Ethan, how long?" I repeated, my voice. She stood up a little, hesitated, and then fell apart. She murmured, barely audible, "For 6 months. 6 months and 6 months of deceitfully sharing her body, intimacy, and laughing with someone else." I felt the customary surge of fury, but I chose not to show it. Instead, I got up and went to the counter, picked up the photograph, and forced her to look at it again. I asked, pointing to the man in the picture, "What's his name?" And she mumbled, her eyes welling with tears. I said it aloud again, letting the name escape my lips. "Mark, the man you've been seeing in upscale hotels while telling me you're at the spa or book club. Mark, the man who has been robbing my wife while I'm working extra hours to pay for your house, your car, and your life." That Mark. She broke down and began to cry, hiding her face with her hands. I was unable to soothe her, and the sight of her tears just made me angry. "Ethan, I apologize." That she gasped out in between sobbing. "I never intended for this to happen. It was an error." I interrupted her abruptly, saying that neglecting to purchase milk from the supermarket and sleeping with another guy for 6 months is not an error. "Lisa, that's a decision." She looked at me while purposefully betraying me repeatedly. She muttered, "I can't lose you," moving closer to me. "I'll end it with him. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this, please." But I couldn't tell if her tear-streaked face was filled with guilt for what she had done or for getting caught. I chuckled, and then, to my amazement, I heard a cold, bitter laugh. "You love me," I said. "Don't betray anyone you love, Lisa. You don't break their trust, their sense of self, their world, and then tell them you love them." I turned away from her because I couldn't bear to look at her face any longer. I went to the living room and got a folder off the coffee table and gave it to her. She opened it with trembling hands, and everything the investigator had collected, photos, hotel receipts, timestamps, proof, was inside. Her face fell apart as she looked through the evidence. "Ethan," I said, "I've already spoken to a lawyer. The divorce papers will be ready next week." And she gasped, "I want you out of this house by tomorrow." I had spent the previous 3 weeks not only learning the truth, but also getting ready for this moment. I had changed the passwords to all of our accounts, had the locks changed, and had the house locked. "There is no need to start again, Ethan. We can work through this and go to counseling." I left her there, crumpled on the kitchen floor, and went upstairs to our bedroom. I grabbed a suitcase I had packed earlier and carried it into the guest room because I didn't want to spend another night in the same bed with her that night. Memories of our life together played in my head like a cruel montage. The day we met, our wedding, the vacations, the plans we made for the future, all of it felt like a lie now. "Lisa, you killed whatever was left of us the moment you let him into your life." She fell to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably, but her tears couldn't undo the damage. I wondered how long she had been unhappy, how long she had been pretending, and then I wondered why I hadn't seen it sooner. The next morning Lisa was gone. She left a note on the counter begging me to reconsider, but I didn't read past the first line. I didn't need to. Her actions had spoken louder than any words ever could. In the weeks that followed I focused on rebuilding. I threw myself into work, reconnected with friends I'd neglected, and started therapy. I learned to let go of the anger, the bitterness, the hurt, and eventually I found peace. One day I received a message from Mark's wife. She had found out about the affair as well and wanted to meet. talked over coffee, we shared our stories, our pain and our plans for moving forward. It was strangely therapeutic. We realized we deserved better and we vowed to support each other in our respective journeys to healing. Months later I heard through the hopvine that Lisa's relationship with Mark had fallen apart. She had moved out of the city, leaving behind the life she had destroyed. I felt no satisfaction in her downfall, only a sense of closure. She had made her choices and I had made mine. The photo that started it all now sits in a box in my closet, a relic of a past life. It serves as a reminder of the lessons I've learned: to value honesty, to never settle for less than I deserve, and to always trust my instincts. And as for me, I'm doing okay, better than okay actually. I've started dating again. For the first time in a long time, I am cautiously optimistic about the future and free to live, love, and be happy, which I've come to know is the best form of retribution.